Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to tackle something I think a lot of people are thinking about.
Mm-hmm.
Is it possible to build another Amazon?
Yeah.
Can anyone actually compete with this giant?
Yeah.
And, we got a really interesting article sent to us titled, How to Make a Website Like Amazon. And I got to say, just reading through this thing, some of the stats are really intimidating.
Yeah.
Like, did you know that Amazon's brand value in 2024 hit $577 billion?
Wow.
That's almost 100 times what it was back in 2006.
Crazy.
And, by 2025, they're projected to control something like 41% of the entire U.S. e-commerce market.
Huge.
It's just massive.
Yeah.
So, I think today we really need to dive deep into kind of like what makes Amazon tick.
Yeah.
And, what can we learn from them, even if we're not planning to build the next, e-commerce behemoth.
Right.
So maybe to start off,
Yeah.
I know the article talks about, the WHY behind Amazon's success.
Mm-hmm.
What is it that's made them so incredibly successful?
Yeah. And the article breaks that down into 4 main points.
Okay.
It's this user-centric approach. They're very focused on the user. They talk about relentless innovation, always coming up with new ideas and new technology, and then flexible options for both buyers and sellers, and then also a transparent business model.
Okay. So let's break those down one by one.
Yeah.
I think the user-centric thing, I get that in principle. Obviously a good website should be easy to use.
Right.
But how does that actually translate into billions of dollars for a company like Amazon?
Yeah, well, think about it. When was the last time you shopped on Amazon? It's almost effortless, right? You find what you need.
Right.
Checkout is super easy.
Yeah.
And then, those recommendations that pop up are usually pretty spot on. They've really, invested heavily in making the entire experience very, very frictionless.
Mm-hmm.
And studies show that a positive customer experience can lead to a 10-15% boost in revenue every year.
Wow. And for Amazon, that must be a lot.
Huge. That's a significant chunk of change.
Yeah, for sure. So it's not just the smooth experience, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
Amazon is also known for, all this new technology they're rolling out all the time.
Right.
AI augmented reality.
Right.
They're always kind of pushing the boundaries.
Well, and it's not just about, chasing the shiny new object. It's about using that technology to solve real problems.
Okay.
For both buyers and sellers.
Right.
So you mentioned AI.
Yeah.
Obviously that powers those recommendations we were talking about, but it goes deeper than that.
Okay.
Amazon's CEO said that generative AI has actually fueled about 17% growth in sales just this year for Amazon Web Services.
Wow. So it's not just on the retail side.
No, it's across their entire business.
Interesting.
So they're using that technology both to improve the customer experience, but also to make money in other areas.
Got it. Okay. So moving on to this idea of flexibility.
Yeah.
The article talks a lot about payment and return options.
Mm-hmm.
What's so important about that?
Well, I think it's about tapping into consumer psychology. We as humans, we want that peace of mind when we buy something.
Okay.
If it's not right,
Yeah.
we want to be able to return it.
Sure.
And studies have shown that most online shoppers consider free returns absolutely essential when they're making a purchase.
Interesting.
So Amazon understands that.
Yeah.
Removing those barriers is really key.
Okay.
So the easier you make it to buy something and, the less risky it is, the more likely people are to click that buy now button.
So they're removing all the reasons not to buy something.
Exactly.
I like that. Okay. And then the final pillar is this idea of transparency.
Right.
What does that even mean when we're talking about, a company as big as Amazon?
I think in a world that can feel very opaque online,
Yeah.
Amazon stands out because their pricing is very clear. You know exactly what you're paying,
Right.
what the shipping's going to cost,
Yeah.
what the return policies are. There's no hidden fees. There's no surprises. And I think that builds a lot of trust.
Got it.
Their transparency program, for example, which verifies products are authentic, that had over 1 million sellers and 750 million products enrolled last year.
So it's not just talk. They're actually putting their money where their mouth is.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we've got these 4 pillars.
Right.
User centricity, innovation, flexibility, and transparency.
Right.
But what does that mean for someone who's actually trying to build a marketplace? Let's say someone's listening to this right now.
Yeah.
They've got this awesome idea for an online business.
Well, don't be intimidated by Amazon's scale. I think the takeaway here is to understand those principles.
Okay.
And apply them even on a smaller level.
Got it.
And the article goes on to talk about, the essential features
Right.
that you need to have both for sellers and buyers.
Right.
Having the right tools in place is really crucial to attracting sellers
Yeah.
and providing that seamless experience for customers.
Okay, so it seems like they break this down into sort of seller features
Yeah.
and buyer features.
Mm-hmm.
On the seller side, I'm seeing things like having a really robust vendor management system.
Right. And that's sort of like the control panel for your marketplace.
Okay.
It lets sellers manage their inventory, track orders, handle all those back-end operations smoothly.
Yeah.
And the article really stresses the importance of streamlining that registration process.
Mm-hmm.
For sellers, make it easy for them to onboard and start selling quickly.
Right, because you got to attract sellers to the platform in the first place.
Yeah, exactly.
And, in terms of attracting them, having a really flexible commission structure is also important.
Absolutely.
Right.
You need to have competitive rates to incentivize those sellers to choose your platform over someone else's.
Yeah.
And the article even suggests things like tiered commissions,
Okay.
rewarding your top performers.
Like a loyalty program.
Yeah, kind of like that. And making sure those calculations are automated.
Mm-hmm.
So it's accurate and transparent.
Right. It's all about building that trust.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got the vendors on the platform. Now we need to think about product and category management.
Right.
It's got to be easy for them to list their products,
Yeah.
but also easy for buyers to find what they're looking for.
Exactly. You're talking intuitive categorization,
Hmm.
detailed filters, robust search functionality.
Right.
You're helping buyers sift through potentially millions of products
Oh.
to find exactly what they need.
Okay, and then on the seller side, we need to think about inventory management as well.
Absolutely. They need real-time visibility into their stock levels,
Mm-hmm.
prevents overselling, ensures smooth order fulfillment.
Okay, so speaking of order fulfillment, that kind of leads us to the next topic, which is order and shipping management.
Right. Transparency is key here.
Okay.
Everyone wants to know where their package is
Mm-hmm.
and when it's going to arrive.
Yeah.
So you need real-time order tracking for both the seller and the buyer.
Okay.
Plus, integrating with third-party shipping carriers
Mm-hmm.
really streamlines the process.
Makes sense.
And having those shipping calculators so buyers can see accurate costs up front,
Right.
that just improves the experience.
Yeah, it takes away the uncertainty.
Exactly.
And of course, we can't forget about things like, automated tax calculations.
Yeah, especially if you're dealing with a global marketplace.
Right. Nobody wants a tax headache.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we move on to the buyer side,
Yeah.
I think it's worth just pausing for a second to acknowledge, how massive Amazon's seller network actually is.
It's incredible.
As of this year, they have over 1.9 million active sellers globally,
Wow.
and they're reaching customers in over 200 countries.
That's a huge network.
It's mind-boggling, the scale and the complexity we're talking about here.
Absolutely.
But, it also just speaks to the opportunity, for both buyers and sellers within this kind of ecosystem.
Right. So now let's switch gears and talk about those buyer-centric features.
Okay.
Just like you have to keep your sellers happy.
Yeah.
You have to cater to the needs of your customers. And personalized dashboards are a great starting point.
Okay, so allowing customers to, save their order history,
Yeah.
preferences, payment info,
Mm-hmm.
make the whole experience a lot more convenient.
Exactly. It makes them feel recognized and valued.
Yeah.
But also from a business perspective,
Yeah.
you get all this customer data,
Right.
allows for tailored recommendations.
Okay.
You can drive repeat purchases, increase customer lifetime value.
Win-win for everyone.
Exactly.
Now, this one is, near and dear to my heart, wish lists.
Oh, yeah.
Such a great feature for both shoppers and retailers.
Well, they're gold mines of data.
Okay.
They reveal latent demand and allow for targeted promotions.
Yeah.
The article even suggests things like sending notifications
Right.
when wish-listed items go on sale.
Right, or back in stock.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's a clever way to re-engage those customers and encourage purchases.
Yeah, for sure. And of course, we can't forget about the power of customer reviews and ratings.
Oh, absolutely.
Essential in the online world. You can't physically examine a product.
Right.
So those reviews provide that social proof that can really make or break a purchase decision.
Absolutely.
So having a really robust review system
Yeah.
where buyers can rate products,
Mm-hmm.
leave detailed feedback,
Mm-hmm.
and even having those verified purchase badges
Right.
just adds a layer of credibility.
It's about building trust and transparency.
Exactly.
We are much more likely to trust other shoppers
Yeah,
than the seller's marketing.
for sure. Now, we talked about order tracking from the seller side,
Mm-hmm.
but it's just as important for buyers.
Absolutely.
Right.
People want to know where their package is
Yep.
when it's going to arrive.
When it's going to be late.
Right.
So the article talks about having, integrated notifications for things like shipping updates, estimated delivery times,
Yeah.
and any potential delays.
It's all about managing expectations.
Right. Make it as predictable as possible.
Exactly.
And speaking of shipping, clear visibility on shipping costs, especially for international orders, is key.
Transparency is crucial.
Yeah.
Offering things like flat rate shipping for certain regions
Okay.
that can simplify things for the buyer.
Makes it easier for them to understand.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've covered a lot of ground here, from those 4 pillars of Amazon success to all these essential features
Yeah.
for both sellers and buyers.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's one crucial aspect we haven't touched on yet,
What's that?
and that's the mobile experience.
Yes.
In today's world, mobile optimization is non-negotiable.
Absolutely.
Right.
I mean, the article states that a huge portion of users are now shopping on their smartphones or tablets.
Yeah, makes sense.
If your marketplace isn't designed to be seamless on those devices, you're really missing out on a huge chunk of your audience.
Okay, so things like responsive design that adapts to different screen sizes.
Yeah.
That's essential.
The navigation needs to be super intuitive. Checkout has to be smooth. Maybe even incorporate things like push notifications to keep users engaged.
Okay, so it's really about, mirroring that desktop experience and making sure that mobile shopping is just as enjoyable and convenient.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've talked a lot about, features and functionality.
Right.
And it might seem like building a marketplace is a purely technical endeavor.
Yeah.
But there's another side to this story.
There is.
And that's the challenges that come with trying to compete in this already very crowded space.
Yeah.
So let's be honest here. We're talking about building an Amazon competitor.
Right.
The challenges are significant.
Yeah.
Where do we even begin?
I think the most obvious one is competition.
Okay.
How do you stand out when
Right.
you've got this 800 gorilla like Amazon already dominating the market?
You can't beat them at their own game.
You can't.
You have to find a niche, offer something unique,
Mm-hmm.
really define your value proposition.
Exactly. The article suggests focusing on things like, maybe exclusive products,
Right.
faster delivery times, or just exceptional customer service.
Wow.
Anything that sets you apart.
So you have to stand out, but you also have to be discoverable.
Right.
Right.
So you got to invest heavily in marketing.
Yeah.
You're talking SEO, PPC campaigns, content marketing, the whole shebang.
You got to make sure people even know you exist
Exactly.
in this sea of online retailers.
Right.
Okay, so another challenge that the article highlights is this balance
Yeah.
of keeping both buyers and sellers
Yeah.
happy.
Right.
Right. It's like this constant tightrope walk,
It is.
meeting the demands of your customers,
Mm-hmm.
but also making sure that your sellers feel valued and supported.
Yeah, transparency is crucial here.
Okay.
Having clear policies
Mm-hmm.
that outline the rules of the marketplace for both sides
Yeah.
can really prevent disputes and build trust.
So it's all about setting those expectations up front.
Exactly.
Okay, and then, we can't forget about one of the biggest challenges in the online world, security.
Yeah.
Especially when you're dealing with sensitive customer data financial transactions.
Right.
It's a huge responsibility.
Huge.
Security breaches, fraud, these things can be devastating.
Absolutely devastating.
So robust security measures are non-negotiable.
Yeah, you're talking strong encryption fraud detection systems, two-factor authentication.
The bare minimum.
Yeah, the bare
You
minimum.
really need to create the secure environment that fosters trust,
Mm-hmm.
protects both your business and your customers.
Right, and it's not a set it and forget it thing.
Yeah.
You've got to constantly monitor and update those protocols.
Because the bad guys are always evolving.
They're always one step ahead.
Right, okay. Challenge number 4,
Yeah,
keeping up with technology,
right.
market trends,
This is where it gets tricky.
because it changes so quickly.
It does. The world of e-commerce is constantly evolving.
What's hot today is obsolete tomorrow.
Yeah, the article mentioned, AI-driven personalization, voice commerce, even blockchain.
It's a lot to keep up with.
It is a lot.
So how does someone running a marketplace even begin to do that?
I think the key is to be adaptable.
Okay.
Embrace innovation.
Yeah.
Be willing to experiment. Regularly review and upgrade your platform features. Adopt new technologies as they emerge. Keep a close eye on what your competitors are doing.
So it's all about agility.
Agility.
Being able to pivot.
Exactly.
Okay. And then last but not least, we have the challenge of seasonal demand fluctuations.
Oh, yeah.
Black Friday, Cyber Monday, the holiday season.
Right.
These are times when your systems really need to be able to handle a massive surge in activity.
Yeah.
And then there are those slower periods
Right.
where you need to find ways to keep customers engaged and drive sales.
So the article talks about things like having scalable infrastructure,
Okay.
cloud-based systems that allow you to adjust resources based on demand.
Right.
And strategic marketing campaigns can also help, drive traffic during those slower periods. Things
Right.
like seasonal sales, exclusive deals, targeted promotions.
Right. So it's all about being proactive,
Proactive.
finding those ways to incentivize purchases.
And close collaboration with your vendors,
Okay.
on inventory planning is essential.
Yeah.
Make sure you've got enough product to meet demand.
Right. So it's about striking that balance between supply and demand.
Exactly.
Okay. So we've explored, all these complexities, building a marketplace.
Right.
And all the challenges involved.
Yeah.
Now, the article actually highlights a specific tool
Okay.
called WebNex
Oh, yeah.
that aims to make this whole process easier.
Interesting.
So they're positioning it as, a potential solution for those looking to build these multi-vendor marketplaces.
No, okay. I'm curious to hear how it stacks up against Amazon's offerings.
Yeah, me too. I think, it'll be interesting to kind of dive in and see what WebNex brings to the table.
Yeah, let's take a closer look.
It's fascinating how this whole world of online marketplaces works, isn't it? We've been diving deep into the nuts and bolts of building one, but maybe let's take a step back for a second and look at the bigger picture. Like, why are these platforms so successful in the first place? What makes them so appealing to both buyers and sellers?
Well, I think for buyers, it's the unbeatable combination of convenience, choice, and often price.
Yeah.
Marketplaces like Amazon offer this incredible one-stop shop experience
Right.
where you can find almost anything you need, often at really competitive prices.
The convenience is undeniable.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Who wants to waste time driving from store to store
Right.
when you can find everything online with a few clicks?
Yeah, and you can do it from anywhere, anytime.
Exactly. And you also have those added benefits of customer reviews,
Right.
personalized recommendations, fast, reliable shipping.
It's about creating that frictionless shopping experience.
Yeah, for sure. And then for sellers, I imagine it's the potential to, reach a much wider audience.
Absolutely.
Gap into new markets that they wouldn't be able to on their own.
It's like instant access to millions of potential buyers.
Yeah, not to mention, the streamlined logistics, payment processing, marketing support that these marketplaces often provide.
Right.
It really allows sellers to focus on what they do best, which is, creating and selling great products.
Exactly.
And the platform kind of handles all the heavy lifting.
It's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Yeah, it sounds like a win-win situation.
Yeah. Both buyers and sellers win in this model.
But are there any downsides? I mean, we've talked about the challenges of, competing with a giant like Amazon.
Right.
But are there any sort of inherent weaknesses in this type of platform?
That's a great question. I think it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of this model, but there are definitely some potential downsides to consider.
Okay, so for sellers, I imagine one of the biggest challenges is, the fees associated with selling on these platforms.
Those commissions can really cut into profits, especially for businesses with thin margins.
Yeah, and even if you can handle the fees,
Right.
there's still the issue of competition,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you've got millions of sellers all vying for attention.
It's tough to stand out.
How do you stand out from the crowd?
Right.
And then there's also the risk
Yeah.
that comes with relying on a third-party platform,
Exactly.
right? I mean, they could change their policies,
Right.
algorithms at any time,
Yeah.
and that could significantly impact your sales.
You're playing by their rules.
It's a trade-off, right? You get this incredible platform with massive reach,
Yeah.
but you're also at the mercy of the platform itself.
Exactly.
And then for buyers, I think one of the biggest concerns is authenticity, right? With so many products being sold by third-party sellers,
Yeah.
how can you be sure that you're getting the genuine article?
Counterfeit goods are a real problem.
Yeah.
And it can be hard to differentiate between the real and the fake.
And what about customer service? If something goes wrong with an order, who's responsible for resolving the issue?
Right. Is it the seller? Is it the marketplace?
It can be a bit of a gray area.
It can be a hassle for the buyer.
Yeah, for sure. So there are definitely, some trade-offs for both buyers and sellers to consider.
Right.
But overall, I think it seems like the benefits of this marketplace model outweigh the risks, at least for now.
I think that's a fair assessment.
Okay. So this article we've been talking about actually delves into a little bit of the history
Oh, interesting.
of online marketplaces.
Yeah.
specifically highlighting some of Amazon's early competitors.
Okay.
And I always find it helpful to look back at the past,
Yeah.
to understand how we got to where we are today.
Right.
So who were some of those big players
Yeah.
in the early days of e-commerce?
Well, one of the biggest names was eBay,
Right.
which was founded back in 1995.
Wow.
They were really pioneers of this online marketplace model.
eBay? I remember spending hours browsing their online auctions,
Yeah.
trying to snag a deal.
Right. It was a totally different experience back then.
It was. But the article suggests that eBay really struggled to adapt as the e-commerce landscape evolved
Right.
and ultimately fell behind Amazon.
Yeah.
So what led to their decline? Were they just not able to keep up with Amazon's innovations?
Well, it seems like a few factors contributed to their challenges. One was their focus on auctions.
Okay.
While those were popular initially,
Yeah.
they became less appealing to buyers who wanted a more predictable and straightforward shopping experience.
I can see that the whole bidding process could
Yeah.
be time-consuming and stressful.
Right. You never knew if you were going to win or not.
Exactly. And then there was also the issue of trust.
Yeah.
Right. With eBay, you were often buying from individual sellers, which meant there was always a degree of risk involved.
Right. You couldn't be sure about product authenticity or the quality of customer service.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as Amazon gained traction, they really prioritized building trust,
Yeah.
providing that more reliable and consistent shopping experience.
And their investments in logistics and fulfillment,
Yeah.
they raised the bar in terms of shipping speed and reliability.
I mean, their Amazon Prime membership was a game changer,
It was.
right? Suddenly you could get almost anything delivered to your door within 2 days, often for free.
Yeah, it was hard to compete with that.
So eBay was one of those early contenders, but they weren't the only ones.
No.
The article also mentions Toys R Us,
Interesting.
which might seem like an odd choice.
Yeah.
But they were actually one of the first brick-and-mortar stores to really venture into this world of online shopping.
Okay.
I remember their website,
Yeah.
but it never really took off, did it?
No, it didn't. And the article suggests that they made a critical strategic error
Okay.
by relying heavily on Amazon to handle their online sales.
So instead of building their own robust e-commerce platform,
Right.
they essentially outsourced it to their biggest competitor.
Exactly. And that really limited their control and profitability.
Makes sense.
It's a cautionary tale.
Yeah.
If you're serious about competing in this space,
Mm-hmm.
you need to be fully committed.
Yeah.
Invest in building a strong platform of your own.
You can't rely on your rivals to pave the way for you.
Right.
Okay. Were there any other notable names from those early days?
The article mentions Yahoo Shopping,
Yeah.
which was launched back in 1998.
Yahoo. I remember them.
Right. They were a major player back then.
They were. What happened to their shopping platform?
Well, it seems like they struggled with a few things.
Okay.
One was navigation.
Okay.
Their platform was just overcrowded and difficult to use.
Right.
It wasn't that smooth and intuitive experience that Amazon was becoming known for.
Yeah. A clunky and confusing website is not going to inspire a lot of purchases.
No, and they also relied heavily on third-party sellers,
Okay.
which made it tough to maintain consistency and quality control.
Right. It's hard to build a strong reputation
Yeah.
when the shopping experience can vary so much from seller to seller.
Exactly. And it seems like Yahoo shopping just couldn't keep pace with Amazon's rapid innovation and that relentless focus on customer satisfaction.
So it sounds like Amazon's success was really built on observing the missteps of these early competitors.
Right.
They saw what worked, what didn't.
Yeah.
And then they doubled down on the things that really mattered to buyers and sellers.
I think that's a great observation.
Yeah. And now they're the ones setting the pace, forcing everyone else to play catch up.
It's amazing how the landscape has shifted.
It really is. It's incredible how much things have changed in just a few decades.
It's a testament to the power of vision execution and a bit of luck along the way.
Right. You never know how things will unfold
Yeah.
in this ever-changing world of technology and business.
That's for sure.
So speaking of unfolding,
Go.
let's shift gears for a moment
Yeah.
and talk about what might have happened. If Amazon hadn't emerged as this dominant force in e-commerce,
Interesting.
right? Imagine a world
Yeah.
where they didn't exist.
It's hard to picture.
What would the landscape look like today?
That's a fascinating thought experiment.
It is.
It's hard to picture the online world without Amazon's presence.
They've had such a profound impact on how we shop, how we do business, even how we think about technology.
Yeah, they've practically become synonymous with online shopping.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine life without that add to cart button.
It is. But let's indulge in this counterfactual for a moment.
Okay.
So rewind the clock.
Yeah.
Erase Amazon from the equation.
Gone.
Do you think it's likely that another player would have emerged to dominate the space?
I think it's likely.
Yeah.
You know, the demand for online shopping was already exploding in the early days of the internet.
Right.
Someone would have stepped up to meet that demand.
But would they have achieved that same level of dominance?
It's hard to say.
Would they have been able to replicate that vast ecosystem, that same level of trust and convenience?
I think it's possible that the e-commerce landscape might be more fragmented,
Okay.
with several major players vying for market share.
So instead of one mega marketplace,
Right.
we might have a collection of smaller, more specialized platforms.
Exactly.
Okay.
Each one focusing on, specific niches or product categories.
Right. So instead of one massive department store,
Yeah.
we'd have this bustling online marketplace with, distinct shops for everything.
Right.
From electronics to handmade crafts to vintage clothing.
Right. And each platform could really focus on their particular audience.
Yeah.
And tailor that shopping experience accordingly.
That's a really interesting thought. And who knows, maybe the pace of innovation would have been different.
Yeah.
Right.
Who knows?
Amazon has been such a driving force in pushing the boundaries of technology and customer expectations.
Yeah.
Without their influence, would we be enjoying those same innovations today?
It's impossible to say for sure, but it is a great reminder
Yeah.
that even in a rapidly evolving industry, a single company can have a massive impact on shaping the landscape. And that brings me back to the question you posed at the beginning of our deep dive.
Right.
Can anyone really build a competitor to Amazon?
Yeah. After all this analysis,
Yeah.
where do we stand on that question? Is it even possible?
Well, it's certainly not easy.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen the challenges firsthand.
Right.
Intense competition, the need for constant innovation, this delicate balance of keeping both buyers and sellers happy.
Right.
But I don't believe it's impossible.
Okay. So what would it take to build a successful Amazon competitor?
Yeah.
What advice would you give to someone with that ambition?
I think first and foremost, you need to find your niche.
Okay.
You can't beat Amazon at their own game.
Right.
You have to offer something unique.
Yeah.
Something that sets you apart from the crowd and resonates with a specific audience.
So focus on, a particular product category.
Great.
A unique selling proposition.
Yeah.
Maybe a specific demographic that's underserved by the existing marketplaces.
Exactly. And then you need to invest heavily in building a strong platform.
Right.
We talked about the importance of a user-friendly interface,
Mm-hmm.
robust security measures,
Yeah.
seamless checkout process. These are non-negotiables.
But it goes beyond just the technical aspects.
It does.
You need to foster a sense of community, build trust
Yeah.
with both buyers and sellers,
Absolutely.
and create a truly engaging shopping experience.
It's about cultivating a loyal following.
Yeah.
Creating a brand that people love and trust.
And, of course, you need to be adaptable,
Yes.
constantly innovating and evolving to stay ahead of the curve.
It's a tall order for sure.
It is.
But if anyone's up for the challenge,
Yeah.
it's the listeners of the Deep Dive.
I agree. They're a curious and ambitious bunch, always eager to learn and explore new ideas. So to all of you out there dreaming of building the next big thing, remember the lessons we've learned from Amazon.
Right.
Find your niche, build a strong foundation,
Yeah.
prioritize the customer experience, and never stop innovating.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be doing a deep dive on your marketplace success story.
I like that. Okay, so that's going to wrap up part 2 of our deep dive.
Okay.
We'll pick it back up in part 3. Okay, so picking back up on this idea of, an alternate reality
Yeah.
where Amazon doesn't exist.
Right.
It's been really interesting to kind of think through what online shopping would look like today
It really has.
if this behemoth had never come along.
Yeah. I mean, it's so deeply ingrained in our online lives now that it's hard to picture e-commerce without them.
It really is. They've set the standard for everything, from product selection to shipping.
Yeah.
But if they hadn't come along, who knows what direction things would have taken.
Right. Maybe another player would have emerged to dominate.
Yeah.
I mean, the demand was there.
The demand was definitely there.
Yeah, waiting to be tapped into. But the question is, would they have been able to achieve the same level of, dominance?
Right. Would they have that same level of trust,
Yeah.
convenience, that seemingly endless selection?
It's hard to say, but Maybe instead of this one giant marketplace, we'd have a more fragmented landscape, a collection of smaller, more specialized platforms.
So instead of one massive department store online,
Right.
we'd have, a bunch of different shops.
Yeah.
Each catering to a specific need or category.
Exactly. So, you'd have your shop for electronics,
Right.
your shop for handmade crafts.
Vintage clothing.
Yeah, and each one could really hone in on their particular audience and tailor that shopping experience accordingly.
It's really interesting to think about, and who knows, maybe the pace of innovation would have been different as well.
Right. I mean, Amazon has been such a driving force
Yeah.
in pushing the boundaries of technology and customer expectations. So without their influence, would we be enjoying those same innovations today?
It's tough to say, but it really highlights how much impact a single company can have
It does.
on shaping an entire industry.
Huge impact.
So that kind of brings us back to the question we posed at the beginning of this whole deep dive. Is it actually possible to build an Amazon competitor?
Right after all this analysis,
Yeah. Where do we stand?
where do we land? Well, it's certainly not easy.
It's not easy.
We've seen the challenges,
Right.
the intense competition, the need to constantly innovate, that balance of keeping both buyers and sellers happy.
Yeah. But you're saying it's not impossible.
I don't think it's impossible.
Okay, so for someone out there listening who has that ambition,
Yeah.
what would it take?
What advice would you give them?
Yep.
Well, I think first and foremost, you need to find your niche.
Okay.
You can't beat Amazon at their own game.
Right.
You have to offer something unique, something that sets you apart and really resonates with a specific audience.
So you're talking a particular product category, a unique selling proposition,
Right.
maybe a specific demographic
Exactly.
that's underserved by the existing marketplaces.
Exactly.
And then you need to invest in building a really strong platform.
Yeah.
We talked about the importance of the user interface, the security measures, that seamless checkout process.
Right. Those are non-negotiables.
But it goes beyond just the technical stuff.
It does.
Yeah.
You need to build trust.
You need to foster community,
Yeah.
a sense of belonging,
Absolutely.
create an engaging shopping experience.
It's about creating a loyal wrong, following a brand that people really love and trust.
And then, of course, you got to be adaptable,
Yes, constantly innovating,
evolving
to stay ahead.
It's a tall order.
It is.
But I think if anyone's up for the challenge, it's the listeners of the deep dive.
I agree. They're a curious and ambitious bunch, always eager to learn and explore.
So to everyone out there, dreaming of building that next big thing, remember those lessons we've learned from Amazon.
Right.
Find your niche, build a strong foundation,
Yeah.
prioritize the customer experience,
Absolutely.
and never stop innovating.
And who knows, maybe one day we'll be doing a deep dive on your marketplace success story.
I love that. Okay, so that's going to wrap up our deep dive into the world of Amazon.
Yeah.
We hope you enjoyed this exploration and all the insights that we've gleaned from this fantastic article.
And remember, whether you're an entrepreneur, a business owner, or simply a curious shopper, there's always something to learn from studying the giants of any industry.
So until next time, keep diving deep and keep those sources coming.
We'll see you then.